Yo, what's the deal? I just want to do this post because I felt like it was necessary. I know there's a lot of people that want to move to the South, and I think it's important when you're moving somewhere to think about um, a lot of different ways in your move, in terms of your move and how it affects you. But I just thought this was going to be some interesting information because I know in conversations we find some people, can get kind of defensive, about the place that they live in or the place that they move to if somebody has something negative to say about it. But it's not necessarily if somebody has something negative to say. It's sometimes it's the little details. It's continuous things that are mounting up that become issues. And especially if you're unaware, maybe you're young or you're inexperienced about life, you may not understand. So I'm doing this post to educate people, about the importance of knowing uh, to look deeper. So I was just curious about some of the discrimination that you can find in the workplace. I'm sure if you're a minority that you may have experienced, and how it can affect a person. It can affect your career. It can affect um, all of what you're doing, self-esteem, all that stuff. So I just was curious about Florida law in terms of discrimination, how they would handle a situation like that. I do understand that there are some places in the South that are considered work states. Excuse me, at will states where they can terminate. If you don't know, in the South there's at will states where they can terminate you, and depending on that state and the different legislation that they have, uh, a lot of things can happen. So I just want to kind of just go over two places and the information that I found, which was Florida, and this comes from the Florida Employee Rights, um, from their Department of Labor website. Um, and basically, it says for wrongful termination and discrimination. So this involves being, involved in a workplace. In some states, you have the right to sue if your if your employer fires you for any reason not directly related to your job performance. However, Florida employees do not extend to most types of wrongful termination because Florida is a right to work state. Florida employee rights for terminated employees are fairly minimal. You will only have the right to sue if you are terminated due to a discriminatory reason. Florida employees' rights do not allow discriminatory firings. All employment related discrimination and harassment based on sex, race, ethnicity, national origin, or religion is prohibited. If you are discriminated against during the hiring process or during the course of your employment, Florida employees' rights allow you to contact the state or federal employment opportunity commission. Currently, Florida employees' rights do not include rights for lesbian and gay employees not to be harassed or discriminated against. While laws do incorporate these Florida employees' rights, have been proposed to state legislator, none have been passed as of 2012. And I'm pretty sure that that is going to change. Well, that is changed in Miami because I know that they have that going on there. But in general, though it is an at will state, there is a process in which if you are discriminated against, you can, there is a recourse. There is some type of laws. There's some type of legislator to even that playing ground. And I know people have heard me, and they always heard me like be non-pro Georgia because I feel like there's a lot of issues here. You have a lot of minorities here. You have a lot of issues, and for there to be the growth in terms of people that come here, you need more laws to protect all of these people that are here. Now, Georgia is here, Florida is here. Well, I'm not even gonna get to that point. We all know the rumors stereotypically about Florida in this location and what kind of people are going on down there. I've actually, when I went to Florida, actually with one of my bosses, um, to his aunt's house. We went to this retirement community that it wasn't gated. It was like enclosed in a wall, and I was not allowed. And I mean, this is in the last 10 years. I was not allowed. So we're talking 2005. I wasn't allowed to go to the clubhouse. And it wasn't that there was a law that I couldn't go to the clubhouse. It was probably not a good idea that I go there. And so, I mean, these are the kind of things that are out here. But then I wanted to kind of go over with the same translation in the workplace fairness in Georgia and, what that says. What kind of discrimination are against the law in Georgia? Georgia is an employment at will state, meaning an employer can terminate you for any reason or no reason at all, so long as it is not a discriminatory reason protected. Now, it's not a discriminatory reason protected by a federal or state anti-discrimination statute. In Georgia, most discrimination cases are brought under the federal cases because the state has only a few discrimination statutes, such as the Equal Pay Act, disability, age, religion, but mostly have only limited damages and sometimes cannot be brought by an individual. Unlike most other states, Georgia does not have a general state anti-discrimination statute covering private employees. Georgia state anti-discrimination statute covers only discrimination claims for state employees. The Georgia Fair Employment Practices Act of 1978 makes it unlawful for a state agency to discriminate against any individual on the basis of race, sex, age, disability, national origin, color, or retaliation. Individuals with sexual harassment claims may have claims that can be brought in state court, depending on the nature of the harassment. Teachers and others working for public school systems may have some rights concerning termination and discrimination under the Georgia Fair Dismissal Act. Additionally, Georgia recently passed a whistleblower law that provides that an employee cannot be terminated for making a complaint or disclosing information to his or her public employer unless information disclosed with knowledge that it was false or with willful disregard for its truth or falsity. So ultimately what that's saying, if you need to translate it, but pretty much I think we got the gist of it. You're limited in terms of what kind of damages you can seek if you are discriminated against. However, racism is not one of them. You can't, there is no recourse. Your employer can be racist, and that's fine. And there's nothing that you can say about it in the state of Georgia. There is no protection. And the crazy thing is you have Georgia here, and then further deep into the South, you have Florida, and then they're more progressive in terms of taking care of people and make sure they're treated equally in the workplace. And I think that that's something that, you hear a lot of people, I'm going to move to Georgia and do. Really understand that when I say Georgia is behind the times, I mean, Georgia's behind the times in so many different ways. There's so many things in legislature that the area is just not up to par in terms and people overlook this because they look, there's jobs there, they have this, a cost of living and woo-doo. But you're not understanding that there's things here, and I mean this comes from somebody who's been here for 10 years. There are things here to keep you. There is some good things in terms on the employment scape, but you have to realize then there's also some other barriers. And these are important things to really look at because ultimately that means your employer can discriminate against you. And regardless of how many people you have, that are here, there is no balance. Because we all know that racism is very real. We see that on TV. We see people getting profiled and pulled over. We see 14-year-old girls getting thrown to the ground by grown-ass cops. Not to say that you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, but at the end of the day, should no cop be throwing around a 14-year-old in a bathing suit? And it really makes you think in terms of the big picture. What else can you get away with? Anything. You can pretty much get away with anything when there's no laws set in place in order to keep balance. But I wanted to do this because I don't feel like there's going to be a whole lot of people who do a post like this. But it's real talk. I mean, and you can look it up on the website. It's right there available for you. There is no protective laws here. The only way that you're protected in Georgia is if you're a state employee and working for the state, or you are a teacher. That's it. Otherwise, like they said, they can dismiss you It's an at-will state, and they can terminate you for any reason or no reason at all. And then it says, so long as it's not discriminatory, protected under, if you're a protected member, which to be protected, you have to be under the state. And then if they do discriminate you and you take them to court and you sue them, there's limited damages that you can seek. So even if they say, oh yeah, you caught us, you went through all this and you finally caught us, yeah, we were racist towards you, then the recourse is nothing. There's very limited damages. You can't really get us. So, I mean, in essence, these people are untouchable. So I just want to do this post so everybody was kind of in the loop of understanding kind of how Georgia functions. And I think this needed to be brought to light, and I think they need some changes made. And I hope that doing this video will allow people to it to be brought to the surface, and then people will get out, vote, and make some changes. I'll be definitely one of those people. But I just want to do this video.